the structure of the presentation in the following minutes is basically, I'll not take more than 15 minutes. It's first of all to show you the scenario of tourism activity in Barcelona in order that we could understand the methodologies that we are employing to get more information from the local satisfaction and participation of our local community. We'll see some of the results and finally a few conclusions about our experience. If we consider all the different types of regulated accommodation in Barcelona, this graphic that you have on the screen shows you the number of overnight stays that has risen to the almost 32 million the last year. This growth is higher than the overnight stays at hotels which is 19 million overnights, because we have also the homestays. The homestay segment makes up a third of the total overnight stays in the city of Barcelona. We are talking about 10 million overnights. 1/3 part of the overnight stays in Barcelona are because this model, this type of accommodation. I show you this graphic because it shows you the beginning of collecting data that we had, which is in 1990. It shows you these 3.7 million overnights in Barcelona in hotels till the point we are at 19 million. And this is in just 28 years. 28 years of a huge development of the city, but not enough to understand and to pass a generational relief for the local people. So the growth of the business has been very clear in this graphic, but the transition from one generation to another generation of the people that live in the city has not been as fast as the activity, and that created a few these adjustments that you will see a bit later. But let me show also this graphic, the number of international tourists. This boost in tourist demand in Barcelona is higher than that registered for overall world demand. As seen in this figure, the rhythm of international tourist growth in the city of Barcelona has risen strongly since 2010, broadening the differential with respect to world tourism from this WTO data information source. If we analyze the ranking in Europe, European cities in Europe, the sustained growth of tourism activity has positioned Barcelona as the 5th European city to receive tourism. Immediately behind Rome, as you can see, and ahead of Madrid, according with the data that we have, it's come from the European City Marketing Benchmarking Report 2017. However, if the unit of measurement is the international tourist, Barcelona is ranked 4th in the report, just behind London, Paris, and Rome, cities that exceed Barcelona in number of inhabitants. And it should be noted that in both cases, the growth experienced in Barcelona was the highest of the 10 leading cities in this classification till the end of 2016. The general tone have been modest growth, such as the case of Rome, or some even declines as has been happening in London, and especially in Paris for the effects that we already know. Situation that we will notice in Barcelona at the end of this year with the 2017 global indicators, but in this case for many different reasons that have been happening in our city during this year. There are two specific segments that I would like to that are extremely important for the city of Barcelona. One of them is the cruises. We are the 4th port of cruises in the world, because the first port of cruises are in Florida. So it's the first in Europe. And it's the 4th world destination for volume of international delegates at congresses and conventions. So in some sense, this is the picture of the scenario that brings us this other picture, the picture of over-frequency in certain districts of the city where the most important attractions are concentrated. So motivated a growing disconform of neighborhoods who starting in 2009 and are beginning to protest in the streets, as we can check in in several images that the last years has been on the media very often, as you can check in this couple of slides. Methodology, how we work technically from the Barcelona Tourism Observatory to understand better the local opinion, the local satisfaction, and the relation between local people and tourists. That is today I could explain many different things about what we do in terms of how we understand, how develop, and what actions we are developing with the local stakeholders in terms to improve the situation in Barcelona. But I would like to focus the presentation of today in that methodology that we have been implementing, that it means a lot of resources from our point of view in terms of money and people, which is to understand better the opinion of the citizens. The opinion of citizens has been considered in our studies since 2011. The perception that the permanent residents in Barcelona of tourism has been contemplated within the Barcelona Semester Barometer, which is a type of omnibus survey that we have been doing semesterly in the last years. This survey dimension is based in 812 respondents by telephone interviews, methodology in the municipality of Barcelona twice per year. And what this information is show us, this one, sorry. This one is that in Barcelona, in the 5 years the tourism aspect, when we ask to our local people what is the main problem of the city of Barcelona, in 5 years from June 2012 till June 2017 says that the tourism in these 5 years goes from place number 14 in the worries of the city to the first place. And it's just 1.3% of people that were considering tourism a problem, and now it's 19% of the local people as more important than employment or the traffic problems or even the insecurity. Tourism, therefore, is the main problem right now considered from December to 2016, and accelerates this in the last wave, which is the one that you have on the screen, in June this year. The big incognita here is will be the new delivery of this work at the end of this year, because we will see if tourism keeps as the first concern or will be relegated to new problems that did not appear in this ranking in June, as it may be the political context in which the country lives. We live nowadays that probably will affect the perception of the local people about the worries in the city. The other work that we do is this one. This work was the need to reinforce the knowledge within the tourist indicators ecosystem of the city. Begins with a specific survey on participation and local satisfaction regarding tourism activity in the city. It's very detailed, this one. It's a survey of 5,000 residents with methodology CAPI, so it's personal interviews, with a monthly follow-up and a publication, an annual publication. And from this work, what actually get is much detailed information. When we ask to our citizens which of these two options do you agree with most, the red line is when we say Barcelona must continue to try and attract more tourism, and the yellow one says it represents Barcelona is reach the limits of its capacity. There is a certain pattern of behavior that has to do with the economic stability of the destination. There's a correlation between tourism negative opinions and the period when the economics indicators are improved, and a safe value, tourism as a safe value, and well considered when the economic indicators and reference showing us a decreasing results. By districts, this is the other graphic you have on your right, the Old Town, the areas of Gracia are those that they show a perception of less tolerance against tourism. In general, if the decision of how to lead the destination is that an integrated model, if this is the concept that is the strategy that we're following, the integrated model of tourism in the city, and not segmented by distribution of different uses along all our territory, the indicator of coexistence, the indicator of convivence between tourists and permanent residents is, our point of view, fundamental. The figure that you see, it shows you by districts the level of coexistence or convivence that residents have with visitors. And in general, it is quite well. But it is possible to identify those districts with major tourists that stress, such as the Old City, in particular the neighborhoods of Barceloneta, Barrio Gòtic, and Gracia, where usually all these pictures appear on the media from all around the world. But again here, not always a bad coexistence between tourists and residents is the perception that there is a saturation of accommodation in their places. Sometimes it's the presence of certain tourism attractions, or even worse, is when the attraction is the own neighborhood. When the attraction is then our neighborhood itself becomes the tourist attraction, then is when it's more affected. When in the case we ask, do you think that in your neighborhood are too many hotels, homes for tourists, etc.? So, coming to the conclusions, on the destination scale where our observatory works, we are experiencing the transformation of what traditionally we've been calling DMO, Destination Marketing Organization models. Traditionally orientated to the promotion that encouraged research in our observatories, very focused on statistic projects geared towards markets knowledge and tracking the large volumes of demand in our destinations. With the evolutions toward the DMMO, including the concept of management model in our DMOs, the system of indicators that an observatory must have it's incomplete without a battery of indicators that in some sense measure also the battery of participation and local satisfaction of tourism. Nowadays, our indicator system it would not be completed without this new this new battery of indicators based on that information. All we have seen is just a partial work of the Tourism Observatory, but I thought it was very important in terms of conclusion that you saw this work, and I think this is very important. And honestly, because this is what happened, the observatories perhaps need a lot of these aspects: creativity, originality, coexistence indicators, visitor integration, and sustainability will be essential to correctly measure the destination's tourist activities in present and in future times. So we should integrate definitely this type of experiences that we have done in Barcelona in our portfolio in the future works in the observatories. This, as we want to be very sustainable, is the QR where you can download. You can do it now if you want, if you have the application. It's quite large. If not, you can do it once the WTO give you all these presentations. Also have the content here. This goes to the annual report. This is still not published. We right now, if you download, will be the first ones to have publicly the report of this year, where it includes most of the information that you've seen in the last minutes in this presentation. So thank you very much.